Let's talk about why I left BuzzFeed. Well, not BuzzFeed, I actually never worked there, but why I'm no longer working a corporate 9 to 5 job and why I'm so much happier now than I was before. First things first, it's because I wanted to do things like this. The first reason is because you can't really be creative or stick out in any way. Now, before I go any further, I want to mention that this is my personal experience living in Dallas, Texas. I'm sure if you lived in a more creative city like New York City or LA or somewhere abroad, the culture might be different. So I won't be going into the specifics of the company that I work for. I'm just going to be talking more in general, both for myself and things that I've heard from my friends and colleagues. I know that if you work for a tech company that's like a startup, it's going to be a completely different environment than a company that's been around for a really long time. But that being said, I don't feel like corporate environments really foster creativity. In the end of the day, the most important thing for a business is to stay in business and make money for the shareholders and the people that work there, mostly at the top. Anything that deviates from that norm is going to be frowned upon. Now, obviously, if you walk around with colored hair, it's going to draw attention. It's not like I don't expect them to make a comment about it or something like that. It's just that people are really taken aback when you do certain things like this. I had a friend of mine who, when I told him I wanted to color my hair, he jokingly said, "Oh, I guess you never want to be promoted at your job." And I know that was a joke, but there's a lot of reality to that. Why should the color of my hair really affect the quality of my work? I know so many people who have been working for a company for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, even longer than that, and they've kind of stagnated. It's not because they don't work hard or they're not smart. It's just because it's a very specific type of person that does well in corporate environments. A lot of the times, it's not even the hardest workers. You'll see that the people who conform more and have good social skills and are really able to market themselves well, they're the ones who really move up throughout an organization. The second reason is because when you're working a corporate 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 job, you don't really have a whole lot of free time. Let's say that you're working 40 hours a week, and that's the low end of it. I have friends who work 60 hours, 80 hours. I even have friends who I think have come in close to, if not more than 100 hours a week. That's crazy. They don't have time outside of work to do anything. Your job is your life. But even assuming that you're only working 8 hours a day, and let's say that you sleep around 8 hours, plus some time for the commute, getting ready for work, eating, errands, chores, at most, you only really have, let's say, 5 or 6 hours a day to do what you really like. And let's say that you go to the gym a few days a week, or you have family obligations a few days a week. That time just goes down to like basically nothing. Now, of course, you have weekends where you can get more time to yourself, but a lot of people get stuck in this habit of living for the weekend where they'll work all week long and then they get so bogged down by that. Friday night and Saturday night, they'll go out, they'll hang out with friends to de-stress. And before you know it, Sunday night rolls around and they have to go right back to work. And that's not a really great way of living, in my opinion, because before you know it, the weeks are just passing by. You're just working to live and living to work. And in addition to that, you can't really set your own schedule. Maybe your work is a little bit more flexible so you can show up at a certain time and leave at a certain time. But in general, you have to be there for at least 8 hours. There's not a whole lot of flexibility. I like being able to wake up when I want, picking my schedule for the day, deciding the things that I enjoy instead of just having to do the same thing over and over again for weeks and years on end. If you do deviate from the schedule, me, for example, I'm always running late. I mean, admittedly, that's one of my faults. You'll get in trouble for that. You'll get a warning, or maybe people will make comments about it. So it just really sucks that you're scrutinized to that degree. And this is not saying like, oh, you're missing meetings or you're missing things that you have pre-planned at work. It's just more like, on a day-to-day basis, you're not really allowed to be flexible with your schedule, which really isn't something I like, because sometimes I like waking up early and doing things. Sometimes I like doing things late at night. Like the other day, I went to the gym in the morning, and most of the time I can't get myself out of bed in the morning. It's really tough for me to wake up and go to the gym. But the other day I was feeling like it, and I did go to the gym, and it made me pumped up for the rest of the day. Versus some other times when I go to the gym in the morning, I just feel so tired after a workout that I just want to come back and go back to sleep. And then that just ends up wasting the whole day. The third reason is because of the way that the corporate hierarchy works and office politics. I mean, of course, in any job, whether you're working in a corporate job or you work for yourself, you're going to have to work with people that you don't really get along with or you don't really like. And sometimes that's a good thing. It's a good thing to put yourself out of your comfort zone and work with people that you normally may not work with. But sometimes people are just stubborn. It doesn't matter what angle you come at them. They're just not not willing to cooperate. So there's nothing that you can do and you just have to deal with them. In situations like that, a lot of the times those sorts of issues just escalate up the corporate ladder and then nothing gets done. Whereas if you're working for yourself, I feel like you have a little bit more flexibility. If you don't want to do something, if you don't want to collaborate with someone, you don't have to. I am able to work with people who seem really passionate about the things that they like to do now, as opposed to people who are just working to get by and make sure that their family is okay. Which I'm not trying to throw shade at them. I mean, I'm sure if I had a family and kids and stuff, I would be in a similar situation. And the last reason is because when you're working for a company, ultimately everything you do is for that company. You don't really get to develop your own identity. You don't really get to try the things that you really enjoy doing or trying new things. You have to do the work that's available. And that was bringing me down. Don't get me wrong, like I actually really enjoyed working at all of the jobs I've had in the past. There's different things that I liked about each job and different things that I didn't like about each job. Of course, that's going to be the case with almost anything you do in your life. It's just, I can't imagine myself doing that for 40 more years until I'm 65 and ready to retire. I would feel like I would get to that point and just feel really unfulfilled. So those are pretty much the main reasons why I'm glad I'm not working a corporate 9-to-5 job anymore. Now, that's not to say that there's not any positives working for a big company. I mean, let's talk about the most obvious one, money. If you're working for a company, you have a stable source of an income, which is not something you get if you're freelancing or you're running your own business. And that can be really stressful for some people, especially if you have a family or kids. So in no way am I trying to say that this decision is something that everyone should do. But I do feel like a lot of the time, people are really reluctant to try something on their own, even if they're talented, even if they work hard, even if they have good ideas, just because they're really, really scared of how they're going to support themselves. And luckily, I was able to save up a little bit of money. This is a huge privilege because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are working a minimum wage job, or even if they're making more than minimum wage, they barely have enough money to save up. And it can be really frustrating to be in a situation like that because you're kind of trapped. I'm really fortunate and thankful that I had this opportunity to focus on my creative aspirations for the next few months and not have to worry about how I'm going to pay for rent. Now, another positive working at a corporate job is a sense of regularity and consistency and stability. What I mentioned earlier, which is a negative, can also be a positive. Always having to adhere to a strict schedule can actually be a really good thing because it forces you to wake up at the same time, plan your schedule out. It's a lot easier when you are working for yourself or you're freelancing to get distracted or waste an entire day, which is not something that you can really do when you have a job because you have to wake up and physically get there at a certain time. Otherwise, there are going to be consequences. I've had days where I'm super productive and I get like 4 or 5 things done in a day, but I've also had days where I just like lay in bed and watch YouTube videos all day. I think the key is just making sure that you stick to your own schedule, have some sort of thing that you do at a specific time every single day to make sure that you stay on track. So you have the flexibility to decide your own schedule, but you have to hold yourself accountable instead of being held accountable by someone else. And finally, the last positive thing is that when you're working at a corporate job, there's some really great opportunities. You get to learn a lot. You get to develop your professional skills, your communication skills, and you get to meet some really cool people. You may get to travel for your job, which is something that I really enjoy doing for the jobs that let me travel. You get to meet people in other countries, or maybe you get to collaborate with them even if you're not physically traveling there. I mean, of course you're gonna have people that you like at work and that you don't like at work. That's pretty universal, but a lot of the people that you work with are really nice people. I had some really good teammates, both here and abroad, and these are people that I still consider friends, and I hope to keep up with them, a year from now or 2 years from now. That's something that I'll definitely take away from the corporate experience as a positive. So that leads to the big question, what am I going to be doing now? Mainly, I'm just going to be focusing on a bunch of creative things that I've been wanting to do for a while now. Working on music, art, fashion, tech, political discussions, and all of the things that really interest me. I'll be using this YouTube channel to showcase all of that and much more. So it may seem a little bit random what I'm going to be posting, but I think over time, you'll get an understanding of what it is that I want this channel to be. And the first thing that I have is a single that I just dropped with my brother and one of our friends. So you can click somewhere around here, or I'll drop a link in the description so you can listen to that and let me know what you think about that. I'll be dropping more music soon, and I should be posting some videos of these custom shoes that I painted, a custom phone case that I painted, a couple fashion challenges with some of my friends. So if that's something that interests you, please like the video, subscribe to my channel. Obviously share if you can, share this with your friends. If this is something that you've wanted to do, but you're kind of reluctant to do it, leave your job and try something on your own. I guess this will kind of be an experiment for both of us. So yeah, if you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe. I look forward to making more of these, and I hope that you guys join me in this journey. Peace.